We have so much high school football coverage for you every week. Every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we have high school football coverage. On Thursdays, Michelle and I preview and predict all of Central Indiana's best games. And on Friday night, Saturday morning, as close to midnight as we can, we release our Football Friday scoreboard show where Michelle and I go over scores and highlights from Central Indiana and the best games from across the state and talk to coaches and media. Then on Tuesday, we have our football report where we will recap Week 3. Again, talk to some coaches and media about what happened. Name our offensive, defensive, and two-way player of the week. Our coach, win, and team of the week. And name our Central Indiana Sports Report Top 20 Power Poll. Please join us every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for continued Central Indiana high school football coverage.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report high school football fans for this week's, I guess I should say, Week 4 high school football games. Almost halfway through the regular season already, Michelle, after this week. Pretty crazy. And for a refresher, how we do our previews and predictions, we go through all of Central Indiana's games. Each game is worth 10 points. The favorites are worth fewer than the underdogs, except for a handful of games where both teams are worth 5 points. Those will be at the end. We will start, as we always do, with the 9-1 games. And these are the games that we expect to be such big blowouts no one could possibly take the other team. The current standings as we go, Kyle Neddenrip of the Indianapolis Star has a 1-point lead over Elijah Poe of the Ball State Daily News and our IndyCar guy. Cade Hampton of the Muncie Star Press is in third place. He's 13 points behind the lead. Kevin Helfrich's made a big move of late. Kevin, of course, of the Action Sports Network is in fourth. Jay Stevens of the Kokomo Press is just 1 point behind Kevin Helfrich in fifth. Then Cody Emerson. Michelle Garmon is in 7th, Sam Frick 8th, Grant Schaus is 9th, and Greg Mengeld is 10th. I win these things, Michelle. I don't finish last. Something's got to change.
Actually, I'm just sad because I think I'm ahead of you in 2 of the 3 we do.
That's right.
Of course, the NFL picks was only week 1, but I'm ahead of you in that, and I'm ahead of you in the high school picks. So I do like that a little bit.
I bet you do, but it's not going to last very long. Something's got to change today. And we start with 3 games that we expect to be blowouts. One team is worth 9. The other team is worth 1. Mount Vernon is 0-3. They are worth 9 at 3-0 New Pal. Frankton is 0-3 at 3-0 Mississinawa. And Benton Central is 0-3 at 3-0 Logansport. You're taking the favorites in all 3?
I am, and I think we can make those are going to be very short picks.
Very easy. Now games that are worth 8 and 2. The favorite is worth 2 points. The underdog is worth 8. These are games that we're pretty sure is going to be lopsided in one direction, but we're not absolutely sure. So, Fort Wayne Blackhawk is 1 and 2. They're worth 8 points. Shenandoah is worth 2. They are also 1 and 2. Take the upset?
No.
Anderson is 1 and 2. They're worth 8 points at 1 and 2. McCutcheon, they're worth 2. Shane Arnold and the Indians.
I really like Shane, but no, he's going to be a tough life on the road this week.
And Delphi is 1 and 2. They're worth 8 points at 2 and 1. Carroll. Last week I might have had this as a 7 and 3 game, but Carroll looked so good last week.
Yeah, and Delphi is okay. I would have done it 2 and 8 even if it had been a week ago. Carroll.
Now we move to 13 games that I put one team at 7 and one team at 3. These are games where we're pretty sure we know who the favorite is, but should be a lot more competitive than the games we've already done. And we start with South Putnam, which was number 1 last week in Class 2A. It took a loss in overtime. They are worth 3 points. Eastern Hancock started with a win. They've lost 2 in a row. They're worth 7. Take the Royals in the upset?
No, I might have considered it had South Putnam had the loss last week just because of the road trip, because that's it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But South Putnam is going to come loaded for bear, and I feel sorry for the Royals of Eastern Hancock.
I wouldn't say I feel sorry for him, but I'm taking South Putnam too. I certainly would give Eastern Hancock a fighting chance, but I'm taking South Putnam. A lot of big Hamilton County rivalries this weekend, Michelle, including 1-2 Noblesville at 2-1 Westfield. I have Noblesville worth 7, Westfield worth 3. Any chance of a Miller
Rocks?
upset?
Nope, the Rocks all the way.
1-2 Zionsville is worth 7 at 2-1 Franklin Central. This is one I almost put as a 6-4. It's a little less than a toss-up, maybe.
It might be. I love the Fennessy. I love the Fennessy family. Tipton County natives or their parents, not the boys. As much as I would love to see Zionsville get it, I think because it's at Franklin Central that's who I'll stay with.
Zionsville has a tough schedule, man.
They do.
By far the smallest school on their schedule after the opening week.
But I'll tell you this, that's a very tough schedule, but they're a team that could kind of be like Brownsburg. But could sneak up on people in the sectional if they look at Zionsville's record and not who they've played.
Because they are competitive with these teams,
yes,
for sure. But, man, their sectional stuff, too. Ooh. Warren Central is worth 3 points. Lawrence Central at home is worth 7. Both teams are 2-1. Will you take the Bears in the upset, man? They've been really good so far.
I know. I'm going to tell you, Greg, this is one that I've gone back and forth and back and forth. I think these are two kind of evenly matched teams. You know what? I think I may lose out some, but I think I will. I'll take the upset. I will go with Lawrence Central this week. I mean, and in my opinion, on that, since is probably changed every half a day.
Michelle, how am I going to catch up with you? We keep picking the same thing because so far we've picked every single game the same, including that upset. Marion coming off a tough loss against Center Grove. It gets a little easier this week, but not a whole lot because Lebanon's awfully good. Lebanon's worth 3. Marion at home worth 7.
I know Marion's at home, and I know they've got athletes and they can score quickly.
Tim Jones, man. It's a good one.
But I will say this. I mean, I don't think they're super disciplined. I said that last year, and I think that's their weakness. I'll take Lebanon. I think Lebanon may be the more disciplined team.
And I think Lebanon's pretty darn good. They had a chance to be a Pendleton Heights team that's done nothing but shut the rest of the teams out that they've played, and I think they're awfully good. LaPel is 3-0. I have them worth 3 points at Muncie Central, worth 7. Will you take the Bearcats in an upset again?
No, I'll take LaPel. After what Adams Central did to Muncie Central last week, after I took the Bearcats for an upset. No, I know that LaPel's probably not quite at Adams Central's level necessarily on the defensive side of the ball.
And they've been awfully good defensively this year.
Yeah, I know.
They weren't last year, but they have been this year.
I know. I'm just saying, I think maybe because of the physicality and everything of that. But LaPel, that offense is just so good.
Brownsburg, which I think is the best team in the state, I've made worth 3 points. They, of course, are 3-0 and ranked number 1. Avon is 2-1. They're at home. I have them worth 7. This is a big rivalry, big conference game. Avon is this close to being unbeaten as well, and they have an impressive resume. Will you take the Orioles?
No. That Brownsburg team is the real deal. I mean, they almost, I don't know that they'll do the same thing that New Pal did a year ago or, like how we feel, but I just feel like Brownsburg, it's going to be so hard to be like New Pal last year. It's like, and I know Avon has had an upset, but Brownsburg's been so impressive the first 3 weeks.
Michelle, if Brownsburg's not the best team in the state, it might be Center Grove. They're at home against Ben Davis. Ben Davis, I have worth 7 points. They're 1-2. Center Grove is ranked 2nd. They're 3-0. Who do you got?
Center Grove.
So far, we've picked all the games the same. I'm so disappointed in this, Michelle. Greencastle is 1-2. They're at Western Boone, also 1-2. Don't be fooled by Western Boone's record. They're pretty good. I have Greencastle worth 7. Western Boone worth 3. Who you got?
Western Boone.
Madison Grant has not been tested this year. And I'm going to make them the favorite on the road at Oak Hill. I'm going to try to tempt people to take Oak Hill. 3-0 Madison Grant's worth 3 points. 1-2 Oak Hill is worth 7. You can take the Eagles.
Yeah, I kind of considered it. I did consider it since Oak Hill's hosting the game, and it's on turf.
It's a good Oak Hill team.
Yeah,
it's not like they're not capable.
And it's on turf, but I really believe in what Brady and Brock have collaborated on between offense, defense there at Madison Grant. I mean, they're sustaining. They rebuilt, got them successful, and they're sustaining that success through graduation every year. And no, I got Madison Grant.
Me too. Michelle, we've been doing this for 2 years. Never have we had the same picks this long into the podcast. That's for sure. Greenfield Central is worth 7 points. Pendleton Heights is worth 3. Pretty big HHC game. Greenfield Central has really bounced back from that Beech Grove loss, and Beech Grove has looked pretty good despite being awful last year. Can they upset Pendleton Heights?
No, not at Pendleton Heights. That Arabians team is surprisingly good, and I say surprisingly, only surprisingly good at this early in the season since they lost a few key pieces, but they're playing very well, and I know it's a conference game, but no, I'm going with Pendleton Heights.
Southern Wells is coming off a huge win over Jay County last week, the first time they've won a conference game in 5 years, I believe it was. We'll see if they can do it again. I have them worth 7 points. West Dell coming off a big win, worth 3. Can Southern Wells do it again?
No.
Michelle, Eastern is coming off a big win last week. Taylor coming off a disappointing loss. I have Taylor worth 7 points. Eastern worth 3. Can Taylor pull off the upset?
Are they? No, let's put it this way: are they capable? Yes, they're capable. Will they or can they on Friday night? No. Josh Edwards' Eastern crew. This is the best team he's had combined on both sides of the ball. He's had some really good offensive teams and weapons, and the defenses look good, but it's been susceptible because they played in the HHC that
Smaller
primarily,
schools.
primarily running. So when they got against teams that had a more pro-style offense, they struggled. Eastern kind of runs that pro-style offense now. He's got athletes on both sides of the ball and strength. He's got strong linemen. Eastern.
All right. Through the 9-1s, 8-2s, and 7-3s, Michelle, we've picked exactly the same thing, which means it's going to go horribly bad for us this week, I think. But now we're down to the games that are worth 6-4 and 5-5, so we're going to have a lot of different ones in this one. Yorktown is 2-1, and I think put up an awfully good performance last week against New Pal. Delta is 1-2 and got its first win of the season last week. The game is being played at Delta, Michelle. Tigers or Eagles?
Probably going to shock you a little bit.
Don't do this.
I actually believe Delta's going to win that game. I think that they got that first win. Coach Lynch gets that monkey off his back, and I'm choosing Delta.
I'm picking Delta, too. The next game is Shelbyville at Newcastle. Shelbyville's 2-1. Newcastle is 1-2. I have Newcastle as a slight favorite at home. Shelbyville worth 6. Newcastle worth 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the upset again. I'm going to take Shelbyville.
I also have Shelbyville, Michelle. This is getting really ridiculous. Next, Chittard is worth 6. Cathedral is worth 4.
This, for me, this has been the hardest game on here to really pick because I know both of them are good programs. I'm a little concerned with Cathedral just because they're not scoring the football. But at the same time, I just can't see Cathedral having coming out with a 500 season. I think they're going to be a very hungry team, so I'm gonna pick Cathedral, and I'm telling you, I came this close to picking Chittard, which is who you're probably going to pick.
Woohoo! We picked something different. I am so relieved, Michelle. Now we'll probably pick different on all the rest of the games. Centerville is worth 4 points at Winchester, worth 6. This should be a really good one, Michelle. Who do you have, the Falcons or the Bulldogs?
I'll take the Bulldogs.
Me too. Danville is at Hamilton Heights. Both teams are 1-2. I have Danville coming off its first win of the season over Anderson, worth 4. Hamilton Heights worth 6. Who are you taking, Michelle?
Danville.
Give me the Huskies. I'm glad we're going a different direction. I really like, you kind of poo-pooed them scoring a bunch of points against Tippecanoe Valley, but that defense had been really good. I think that they've turned a corner, and the defense has been pretty good all year for Hamilton Heights.
Yeah, but I think Danville presents a more of a challenge.
Clinton Central is 2-1. They were 6 points. Sheridan is at home. They're 1-1 and worth 4. Bulldogs or Blackhawks?
Blackhawks. Blackhawks had a week off because they were supposed to play Tri-Central last week, and of course, Tri-Central had to cancel their varsity season. And after coming off that thumping by Ellick, I'm sure with the first-year staff having that extra time to work on things has helped, and I think the Blackhawks, especially at home, they'll be ready.
I'm going to take Clinton Central, so we went a different direction. I think Clinton Central's better than their results showed last week. Give me the Bulldogs. Carmel is worth 6 points. I think maybe the only time that they'll be an underdog in a game, maybe the rest of the season. At Louisville Trinity, worth 4 points. Can the Greyhounds pull off the upset over the Shamrocks? They're going to play 2 Shamrocks this year.
Yeah, I've got Carmel winning. I think Kevin Wright has got something special down there. I really believe he's made that big a difference, and he's that good. And Greyhounds are playing well on both sides of the ball.
I agree with you. I doubted Coach Wright a couple times already this year. I'm not going to do it again. Give me the Greyhounds. 1-2 Jeffersonville is at 0-3 Kokomo. Jeffersonville, a program I'm a little familiar with. They're worth 6 points. Kokomo is worth 4. And just let me tell you, Michelle, like I said, I'm familiar with Jeffersonville, so give me Kokomo.
Caleb Small needs to get it. He's due to get a win here soon. I mean, we know it's not from a lack of effort or trying or really coaching hard.
Really been a lot of injuries.
Yes, I'm taking the Wildcats.
Last game where one team is worth 6 and the other is worth 4, although our game of the week that we're going to have here at the end, Michelle, that is also the case. But for what we're doing right now, Blackford is 0-3. There were 6 at Elwood, which is 1-2, worth 4. Can the Bruins pull off the upset?
They possibly can. When these two teams play, it's a back and forth. It's a one possession or one score game. But it's homecoming at Elwood. No offense, Coach Morales, Panthers, but this is your last solid opportunity to get a win. It'll depend on Frankton's health at the end of the year on how that game will go. So I'm taking Elwood. I think they will get 2 wins.
I'm taking Elwood as well. 6 games, Michelle, are one team is worth 5 and the other is worth 5. 2 of them are games to watch. First, Guerin Catholic at Brebeuf. Guerin Catholic 2-1. Brebeuf 0-3. Toss-up, Michelle. Who you taking?
It is a toss-up. Normally I'd probably take Brebeuf. I just don't know that if they're as athletic as they've been in the past. I'll take Guerin. I know it's on the road, but I'll take Guerin.
I'll take Guerin as well. Rivals Northfield and Southwood go head-to-head. Both teams are not very good, Michelle. Both are 0-3.
Northfield.
I'm going to take Southwood. I think Northfield's just a little better. Southwood's at home. Give me Southwood. In the Three Rivers Conference, 2-1 Manchester at 2-1 Lewis Cass. I have both teams worth 5 points. Michelle, who are you taking?
I'm taking Cass because they're at home. I told you, Greg. I've made a lot of trips over to Cass, and Manchester's kind of in the boonies, and Cass is in the boonies, and Manchester's got to be the one on the road. If in this game, I'm taking the home team. That's why I'm taking Cass, because they're at home, and like I said, it's hard to come out ahead against Cass at home. It's usually even if they're not quite as good as their opponent, and they may lose, but it's going to be a close one. But like I said, give me the Kings.
I am taking Cass as well. Also in the Three Rivers Conference, 1-2 Northwestern is at 1-2 Peru. I think it's a toss-up. Michelle, Tigers or Tigers?
Hey, how about we just get it right and say the Tigers will win?
Not going to let you do that.
Well, I said both of us. I was afraid that we both could do that.
The next game you can do that if you want.
This is a tough game. I don't know what to think. Probably Northwestern probably has maybe more talent, but Peru got a big win last week, and I know Tipton I think played pretty well and handled them in the scrimmage to start the season. So it's hard, but I'll take Peru because they're at home.
I'll take Northwestern, but I don't trust it. I think this is a true toss-up.
I agree, and that's why I'm just flipping to the home team.
Big Hoosier Crossroads game, and one of the games to watch this week. Maybe two championship contender level teams. 3-0 Hamilton Southeastern at 2-1 Fishers. Michelle, the Royals or the Tigers?
It's the Mudsock game, folks. It's the Mudsock game, and I will say this: there's one thing you will know about the Mudsock game. It is going to be packed. Both sides will fill their stands. And, folks, that our listeners probably all know that they're part of the same school corporation. I don't know if they really realize how close those two high schools are to each other. They're like within 1 mile to 2 miles of each other. So it's truly a rivalry. I'm still not always sure how their districting goes. I have cousins that live down there. But I've got Fishers. I think they're the home team. They've tended to kind of own that Mudsock game here of late. My cousin Will, he plays soccer, not football, at Fishers. But I'll choose Fishers. Jason Urban, former Tipton assistant football coach. And
do you ever just pick games because you think one of the teams is going to win, or is it always because you know somebody?
No, I think Fishers is going to win, but I want to shout out to the people that I know that go there. So,
Michelle, I'm sorry to inform you that Hamilton Southeastern is winning this game.
All right, we'll see.
Our last game to watch before we get to our game of the week. Michelle, last week I did not think was going to be a game to watch, but now suddenly is. 2-1 Tipton at 2-1 Western. It's a toss-up. Do you dare take the Panthers?
Here's what's funny about that. We've been talking about him, and I forgot that Austin Colby is the coaching of the Western this year. I forgot that they had another new coach who, the Colbys had dad and son had success at Kokomo. Of course. Now, that said, I've always known this about a Toll coached team. If you are pretty much one-dimensional, unless you are overpowering, powering big, the Tolls usually come up with a pretty good defensive scheme. Western's back to the Colby style, the tight bunch. I guess they tried to spread it and run the spread offense last year. Not doing that. I think Tipton's defense, I think Twin Lakes had success because they were able to spread Tipton's defense all across the field. They really opened up the middle of the field. They could throw the ball. I'll take Tipton. I like their defensive front line. If Western tries to get outside, I like Tipton's linebackers and corners, especially outside. I think Zane Durham as a sophomore is playing very well. Chase Hussey's in the middle. We know how good he is. And I think you'll see Tipton go to a 4-4, a 4-4-3 because Western is not a big passing team. And so that gets them an extra guy in the box. I'm going to take the Blue Devils, but it is a tough one for me, especially because the game is at Western. Really good athlete running back in McKintrick.
He is really good. I'm glad he is back and healthy and running the ball for them at 290 yards last week.
And I talked to Quinn Toll last night because he was waiting on his dad to get out of coach's meeting at the soccer match. So I sat down, and Quinn said that McKintrick is really, really good. And, I'm going to say this, too. This game means a little bit more to the Tolls because Quinn's mom teaches at Western. Aaron's wife teaches at Western. And I'll tell you what, EJ doesn't like to have to go in, the Blue Devils to lose and then have to go to school on Monday. So it's always better in the Toll household when the Blue Devils win anyway, but especially when they beat Western, because that means EJ's in a much better, mood, and I think she's actually gets excited to go into school on Monday.
And finally, our game of the week is what I would probably call our first really big game in the Central Indiana Conference. We think that there are probably 4 elite teams in the conference. 2 of them are going head-to-head. Both of them are 3-0. Alexandria at Eastbrook. I give Eastbrook a slight edge with 4 points. I make Alexandria worth 6. Tigers or Panthers, Michelle?
Wow. I'm going to tell you, this game will probably be a lot closer because it has the last few years. And, Alexandria has won the regular season matchup, I think, 3 straight years. And it's because of their ability to throw the football and the speed on the outside. Because if Eastbrook has had a weakness in the past, it's against passing. But at the same time, I think Eastern's strength is maybe a little bit of Alexandria's weakness, because Alec hasn't been tested with facing the up-tempo, no-huddle style of offense that Eastbrook runs, and they haven't faced a quarterback as athletic as Brody Howe. Brady Gast, better thrower, better passer. Brody Howe, and I know Brady Gast can run, but Brody Howe is just, you get him in open space, he's one of those great high school athletes.
Unquestionably the best 2 quarterbacks in the conference.
Oh, yes, unquestionably best 2 quarterbacks in the conference. It's being played at Eastbrook. I'm gonna say the Panthers, but I think it's maybe anywhere from 1 to 7 point spread, and if Eastbrook with thump belly, that would be if it's a blowout, it'd be a little bit either way, be a little bit of a surprise to me. I just believe that Eastbrook, because the way they've done their preseason, with Huntington North and Concordia, with athletes, they're better tested and better prepared going into this match.
I picked Eastbrook to win the CIC before the season. I have seen nothing that has dissuaded me from sticking with that pick, except for Mrs. Sinwell being really good and Madison Grant being really good as well, and Alexandria being really good, but I'm going to stick with my pick. I agree with you. Pretty close to 50-50, but I'm going to take Eastbrook for the win, and I'm going to stick with them to win the conference. But man, it's very possible we're going to have a 3-way tie at the top.
That easily could, that could happen. Say Eastbrook beats Ellick, and Ellick turns around and
beat Mississinawa.
And beats, maybe beat Madison Grant. Mississinawa beats Eastbrook. Yeah, it
seems like 4 really even teams, and Oak Hill is probably capable of beating any of them.
Yes,
yeah,
like we said earlier, I thought those 4 were up here, and Oak Hill is just a half a level below them.
Right.
I don't.
And then a couple of levels to the next.
Yeah, yeah. But I think Oak Hill, because I just don't think they are capable of running the table in the CIC. I think the other 4 could run the table if they stay healthy.
And Michelle, Friday night, you and I will talk about all of it. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a lot of fun, as always. Let's do it again next week.
All right, we will.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.